Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 215 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on June 11th, 2024. How are all you wonderful folks doing? I'm doing pretty well. Working hard. I'm sure you are too. Gym schedule has been ramping up, actually. Some good lifting going on, man. Some really good lifting going on. I always enjoy lifting during the summer months the most. I lived in a place without air conditioning, just shop fans, stuff like that. Really love it when it's super hot. Yeah, you warm up faster. The atmosphere is aggressive. There's something about the heat that really gets things going with a good energy, I think. And yesterday was pretty off the chain, man. There was really good lifters in there. It was just a lot of good energy. I love that. And so I think the summer gains are in full swing. Yeah. And you know what? I tell you what, the Legion Pulse pre-workout that I've been continuing to use since those folks sponsored this podcast, man, it is the truth, dude. I'm telling you, and I'm being serious. Like, I know that they literally pay us, that they're a sponsor, but I am telling you, the way the caffeine releases or something, it's the curve, the time curve. It is so much different than a lot of the other pre-workouts that I've used in the past. And I don't know what it is. It's like a continuous stimulant curve, I guess I could call it. Like it doesn't have a lot of peaks and valleys, I guess I would say. So yeah, for me, it works really well. I'm not sure if it does that for everyone. I have had feedback from some folks that it has helped them in the same way. So for me, it's been great. I just wanted to tell you about it just because it's been in my mind since I've been noticing that, and I've been using it a lot lately. So anyway, I thought this podcast was about silencers. It kind of is. No, on this episode, we're going to hit the technical discussion of the SilencerCo Omega 9K on the HK P30L. So it's the second time we've looked at this silencer. The first time was on 300 Blackout Subsonic several years ago. Now, 9mm pistol, which is a lot more appropriate for it, in my opinion. Now, eventually, we're going to do subgun with it as well, and I think that's going to round out the use cases of the silencer in a nice package for everybody. So what we'll do today, we're going to go through the nerd stuff today with the pistol. And again, this is a direct complement to the article that was published last week. Okay, so if you haven't checked out that article at pewscience.com, please do so. Or you can just stick around in the episode and you'll get the info here too. It's whatever. It's whatever you would like. Both is probably best, to both read it and listen, but everyone learns differently. Everyone has a finite amount of time in their schedule. So please do what is convenient for you. Also on this episode, I'm going to give you a quick update on the PEW Science 101 episode that we're going to be putting together for you. I've gotten a lot of feedback via email so far. Greatly appreciated. If you have not submitted your desires for that episode yet, now is your chance. Okay, hit up tech@pewscience.com. That's TECH at pewscience.com. Remember, if you are someone who wants to know something, now is your time to shine. Okay, help us help you. I don't want to hear after this, like we do this episode, that so-and-so says, well, Pew Science doesn't tell us. No. This is your chance. Send the email, tech@pewscience.com, or forever hold your peace. Fair? Fair. Okay. So we do have a lot to go over today, technically. So we'll get on with the show now. And again, for those of you new to this podcast, you need to know there are timestamps in the video description on every single platform that this podcast is published on. I've seen folks, ever since we started publishing on YouTube as well, which, by the way, it's an automatic thing. YouTube ingests the RSS feed. It literally dumps the episode to YouTube. We got YouTube comments from several people who've said, well, you should really put timestamps. And I said, well, if you look at the video description, there are timestamps. So please, if you want to know when the topics happen, go to the description and click on the timestamp. Okay? But before we do those, I'm going to read some ads because they're necessary for the podcast to happen. Okay? Because this episode is proudly sponsored by Legion Athletics. That's right. I already talked about them. I already talked about the pre-workout I use. It's like I literally use this for life because nothing you do, exercise, sports, anything is worth doing without consistency. You'll find, especially in lifting weights, if you want to actually get strong and be jacked, you have to do it all the time. Okay, that goes for everybody. I don't care if you're an enhanced athlete, a natural athlete, or what. If you don't want to lift weights all the time, well, you're never going to be jacked. And if you're not jacked, well, that sucks. Okay? So Legion Athletics can help you with that. They have whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout. They have most of what you need. They don't have every single thing, but they have a lot of it, okay? Visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. Code word PEW Science to save 20% off of your first order. If you keep using that code word PEW Science at checkout at legionathletics.com, you will get a net 10% off everything forever. So even after your first order and you save that huge chunk of change, if you keep using that code, you're just going to keep getting free money, dude. Do it. Get strong. It's important. Save money. This episode is also brought to you by Top Gun Range Houston, probably one of the best silencer dealers I've ever seen, honestly. You know, they're in Houston. I recognize not everyone that listens to this podcast is in that area, but there are a ton of people that are. If you're going there on a business trip or something, stop by, man. 15-lane indoor range, largest firearm rental fleet in the entire state of Texas, which is really saying something. You can rent pistols and rifles and shotguns, machine guns. You can also rent silencers, and that is a game changer, okay? Without investing in a tax stamp and a Form 4 weight, you can shoot the silencer right there at their range, get a feel for them, compare them on the different host weapons that PEW Science uses in the Silencer Sound Standard. I mean, it's a ton of opportunity for you, okay? Visit their website at topgunrange.com, Instagram, Top Gun Range, Google them, you know where to find them. Episode is also brought to you by High-End Armament Technologies. A little bit of a different dealer. They're the ones that, you know, you kind of use your kids' college fund to buy rifles from High-End Armament at highendarms.com, and then like you tell your wife later. That's essentially what you do there, okay? highendarms.com, Instagram at highendarms, Facebook page, which is also High-End Arms. If you're looking for something rare and esoteric, Robert and his crew can help you, okay? Tell them Jay sent you. This episode is also brought to you by Silencer Shop. That's right, the largest distributor of silencers in the world. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically. In turn, you will cut down on errors. You will simplify your silencer's purchasing process. It's brainless, dude. Get the app. You have your fingerprints in there. You have your photo in there. You're buying silencers on the couch while you're watching Netflix. Okay, what could go wrong? Money back guarantee. No transfer fees. No paperwork errors. Just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. Pretty much. And finally, this episode and the podcast in general is brought to you by the PEW Science Laboratory. That's right. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, we have chosen to sponsor this podcast and run a public research effort in the hopes of continuing to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. Please visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It is the simplest and most accurate hearing-safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot, dude. The entire thing that happens from before the combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone, all the mechanical operation has ceased out of the weapon system. Super important. PEW Science is the home of the Silencer Sound Standard. 7 sections, the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis on the entire world, all available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com. Please, I implore you, you can support the podcast, all the public testing we do, by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. It would mean the world. Also, there's a donate function if you don't want to give a monthly thing. I get it, dude. Also, every little bit helps. So something that's free, does not cost you any money, is just to spread the word. Give the podcast a good rating on Spotify or iTunes, wherever you listen to it. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Share it with your buddies. Tell your gun shop. Tell your friends. Tell your teacher. Tell your professor. It's awesome. And, you know, your teachers are listening to this anyway, so trust me. I mean, the university professors talk to me all the time. So it's working its way into the zeitgeist, as it were. 2 topics for you today. Topic 1, sound signature review 6153, the SilencerCo Omega 9K on the HK P30L. Pistol data and analysis is back in a big way. Technical discussion. Okay, this is the technical discussion, the article we published last week on the Omega 9K. So we'll have some fun with that. And then topic 2, again, PEW Science 101 topic prep, this episode prep, really. Thank you for your feedback. To those of you who have offered feedback so far via email, if you have not emailed your feedback, please do so. Again, the point of this, by popular demand, is to be a reference for folks to have a crash course, essentially, to assist folks with an introduction to the research, because there's, what is this, episode 215? So instead of listening to 215 episodes of me talking to you, maybe you start with these. That's the point, okay? Okay, your feedback is appreciated. Don't sleep on it. It's important, okay? We're literally only going to do it once, and then it'll be like 101, 102, just like when you were in college, except probably not as much beer, or maybe better beer now that you can afford more. That you're not a broke college student. Topic 1 at a time of 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Remember when we were in college and it didn't matter what beer there was because it's like you couldn't afford it anyway because you had no money. That was the days of Miller Lite. I'm in heaven. Oh man, they have Natty Light. Well, I'll drink that anyway. Who cares? And then you drink that. I mean, you would. And then they'd have Bud Light and, you drink it, but you were like, I wish it was Miller Lite, just because, let's be honest. If you had to pick between Bud Light and Miller Lite, you're going to pick Miller Lite. Now that you're out of college, hey, I'm not knocking those light beers. Sure, I'll take a Miller Lite, but yeah, you're going to go for something better now. But back then, even then, dude, if you had to pick, if a Bud Light was in front of you and a Miller Lite was in front of you, are you really picking the Bud Light, dude? No. You're picking the Miller Lite. I don't know how we got on this topic. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6153, SilencerCo Omega 9K on the HK P30L. Pistol data and analysis is back, dude. I know that not everyone likes suppressing pistols. But you need to understand that as part of silencer history and silencer culture, it's really important. And this silencer itself is very important. And so buckle up, strap in. We're going to talk about combustion physics. We're going to talk about blast physics. We're going to talk about silencers. We're going to talk about this. And I think it's important to understand at the very least, even if you don't shoot pistol silencers, the basic principles of operation of the systems, understanding those, I believe, is key to your understanding of suppressed small arms in general and is a great supplement to your overall knowledge base. Okay, that is my opinion. And I cannot tell you how pleased I am that we were able to get this published. It was a long time coming, obviously. It's a classic silencer, and saying that's weird. But when you really think about it, it is a classic silencer. It's 10 years old. I know that sounds weird, dude. For me and a lot of other people, we feel like the silencer just came out or something. That's how old we are. But it has, in fact, been almost 10 years since the release. And there are so many dang Omega 9K silencers in user hands that it is quite amazing. SilencerCo, I remember when SilencerCo started as a company with their one product, with their Sparrow. I remember the ad. I remember the website. I remember what it looked like. I remember the red clamshells. And people were like, whoa, new silencer company, cool. This is great. Oh, that's an interesting 22 silencer they made. Like I was there, dude. Like we were all there. We're watching. And now look at what they've built. Vertically integrated silencer company, pretty wild, pretty big. They're the biggest. And it's not close. Right? It's not close. So when we talk Omega 9K, yes, I know you might not have one, but big picture, 10,000 foot view, there's a lot of them. Okay. And on that note, just to underscore this for you, you saw it in social media comments, dude. When we published this last week, several people wanted to see it on more hosts. So far, we showed it on Minifix with 300 Blackout. Now we show it on 9mm combat handgun. Okay, which is obviously another one of its intended uses. And now folks are asking for MP5 data. Okay, yeah, 9mm subgun. Yes. And you know what? Those people are not out of line at all. They're totally justified in that request. In fact, they should be asking for that. It shows you again, how many use cases there are for this particular silencer and what all these people are using it on. Basically, after all these years, there are real people with this silencer everywhere. So we're going to get into the technical performance during the talk in a big way, I promise. And I want you guys to really keep something in mind during the whole talk here. And I have this sitting on my desk in front of me right now. And it does have the piston assembly installed. Okay, and it's sitting next to a normal coffee cup. Okay, and it's not much taller than the coffee cup. Okay, this is a compact silencer. It's entirely welded steel, other than the blast baffle, which is stellite, which is it's a cobalt alloy with extremely high hardness. Okay, you know about stellite, like all the rugged rifle silencer baffles and Dead Air Sandman baffles. Stellite. Okay, that's what that is. Has an alpha pattern proximal end. Okay, what does that mean? You can install a bunch of different mounts in the rear of it there. It's probably one of the most widely used silencers of this type in the American market. Okay, so now I've said glowing things about this and the company and and oh, it's all great. No. Now then, not everything is roses with the Omega 9K. Okay, is it perfect by any means? Absolutely not. Okay, and some people actually loathe it. Some people loathe the Omega 9K. Some people hate it. Okay, so in this topic, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top of the article on the website, yes? And as typical, I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, we're going to point to some specific notes that are really important for you to understand regarding this particular silencer, how it was tested, why it was tested the way it was, and all that stuff, okay? Does this sound good to you? Okay, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to get into it. We're going to see where it takes us. And I'm going to keep that in mind. I give this intro to it. I'm not saying it's like, oh, go buy this silencer. No. PEW Science never tells you to buy anything. Ever. Except Legion pre-workout, Cobra PEW Science. No, I'm half kidding. No. But as far as silencers, no. We do not recommend any silencers. That's not what we do. It's not our job. Okay, so when I give you the objective data, we'll let you make your own decisions. Okay, so if you're new to PEW Science, that was really for you, so welcome. If you're not new to PEW Science, welcome back. Okay, so for all of you, old and new, please, if you were able to do so safely, head over to pewscience.com, pull up Article 6.153. That's 6.153. That is this silencer, the SilencerCo Omega 9K on the HK P30L full-size 9mm combat handgun. Okay, important distinction here. Now, all you gracious PEW Science members, you're going to want to pull up that member review after logging in. That's the one I want you to look at. Now, if you are not a member of PEW Science, that's okay. Please pull up the free public article. You will still be able to follow along with the discussion just fine. Okay, no man left behind as always. Okay, now you should have it pulled up by now. Starting at the top. Okay, this is this 8.6 ounce system in total with all its stuff installed that you're going to screw onto the end of that pistol. 8.6 ounces in total. Hits a muzzle suppression rating on the P30L with Speer Lawman 147 grain ammunition of 39.4. Hits a shooter's ear suppression rating of 40.8 for a composite suppression rating of 43.6. Okay, not too shabby. Especially for a little silencer next to your coffee cup that's under 9 ounces. Lets you shoot full auto supersonic 300 blackout through it if you wanted to. Like I didn't say subsonic 300 blackout. I said full auto supersonic 300 blackout, which means intermediate rifle cartridge. Yes, you can do that. Not too shabby for you to get that rating for this size of silencer on a pistol. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, so now before we get really deep into this, really deep into the technical performance here, there is a disclaimer in this article. And I'm really not sure how many people caught it, and I didn't edit it after publication. It's still there. Okay, did you guys read it? Did you read the disclaimer? In the top, it's right at the top. It's italicized. It's in italics. I did not see one person mentioned it public on social media. Again, I didn't see. There are probably some random forums where people are throwing tomatoes, which is fine. But I didn't see it on any of our posts. So I'm not sure if folks caught it. It is a really big deal, probably, what we wrote there. And what it says is that we did not use the SilencerCo piston. Okay? We didn't. We used a Huxworks piston for this test. And the reason we used the Huxworks piston is because we had it in inventory from testing the Cache 9K. Yes. And it happens to be compatible with the SilencerCo piston cages and the tooth pattern and all that good stuff. And it just so happens that the Huxworks piston we had or have happens to be the correct thread diameter and pitch for the factory threaded barrel in the HK P30L, the 13.5 millimeter by 1 millimeter left-hand thread pattern. Yes. Okay, that's factory HK. And also previously factory SIG P226. I mean, the golden children of and USP 9 tactical, the golden children of hammer fired 9mm combat handgun silencer hosts, right? Like the only true pedigree, the 13.5 by 1. Okay, get out of here with that half 28. So, just kidding, kind of. Now, with many of the silencer pistons that fit the SilencerCo pattern, that many folks have copied over the years. And okay, well, let's back up. I mean, basically all pistons in the pistol silencers are copies of the Knight's Armament Mark 23 silencer piston, right? I digress, but you just keep that in mind. Don't think that all these companies have innovated it. They have not. It was the Knight's Armament. With a lot of these SilencerCo compatible pistons, you're not going to see a performance change that's very meaningful with most silencers. Meaning, if you're taking a piston from one silencer to another, like we did here, a lot of times you're not going to see a difference at all. Okay? And that's probably why a lot of people didn't. Maybe you read that disclaimer and you didn't care, and you're like, okay. But by and large, most pistol silencers are primitive, relatively compared to rifle silencers, and are pretty simple. And there hasn't been much innovation in the space for a very long time. And when I say that, I do mean it, and I'm being sincere. I'm not trying to throw shade at any company. But other than a few select examples, like the Wild Tyrant 9 program at AAC back in the day, or like and right before that, the Omega baffle stuff, maybe some select other things. There's a few pivotal stuff in pistol silencer tech. Other than that, really it's been basically business as usual in a lot of these silencers. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. Now, really, when you look at the Omega 9K, it's no different in that respect either. It's a standard baffle design. Now, it's a very efficient, which you'll see in a little bit when we talk about it. It's a very efficient baffle design, but don't get me wrong, but it is just a standard. It's just a standard baffle design. Okay, so where the piston comes into play is a little bit nuanced. The Osprey system from SilencerCo, okay, that pistol silencer, we haven't tested that. It's not on the website yet. It will be. That pistol silencer, it's kind of it has a rectangular cross section if you've seen it before, which is an homage to the never released but always super cool AAC black box, right? That's why the SilencerCo Osprey exists, because we saw the black box. People thought it was cool. It never got released. They make a silencer company. They got a blank slate. Let's make something that looks like the black box, and they did. Which is awesome, because what a cool looking silencer, right? It's rectangular. It's awesome looking, dude. You can put that on certain guns and it just kind of looks like it belongs. But what did it do? It had slots in it for indexing. Yeah, it had slots. Slots machined on the OD of the piston. Yes. So what did they do? Well, they compromised the gas seal, didn't they? And that seal compromise has been shown anecdotally by many shooters to increase the propensity for particulate ejecta to impact the shooter's face during firing of the system. Okay. And that propensity is found anecdotally to occur with any standard 9mm silencer using that slotted piston. Anecdotally. Okay? So anecdotally, it is generally accepted that the piston is an issue and that it exacerbates negative behavior for a shooter on silencers on pistols when the silencers are already considered relatively high or relatively moderate back pressure models in general, okay? So when the silencer has relatively high to moderate back pressure and you use a SilencerCo slotted piston on a combat handgun, you oftentimes will get particulate ejecta, and anecdotally, the understanding is that the slots are at least partially, if not, at least partially responsible. Okay, makes sense. I'm using words. I'm being very careful in what I'm telling you, but I'm just saying it a certain way to make sure there's no ambiguity. Now, it all makes sense. Now, notice I'm using the word anecdotally like 100 times. Here's the rub, dude. PEW Science has not tested that slotted piston. Okay. We tested on a metric HK pistol, and we haven't tested the Imperial slotted piston for this silencer. Okay? Okay. Could we have done that? Yes. Was this test program member funded? Yes. Did the silencer come to us with a metric piston? It did not. Did we already have a Huxworks metric piston? Yeah, we did. Okay. Does the Huxworks piston have slots? It does not. Does this now make this test more apples to apples with all of the other silencer tests in the public research pedigree? My opinion is that it does, yes. Absolutely. It's my opinion that by testing it the way we have, the results are more meaningful contextually. Okay, I'm making an argument here to you. Now, that being said, is it true that we do not have results for the worst case now? The case that some, if not most people are using because they have the slotted piston. Is that true? Yeah, that's true. I can see that's true. I can see that this was a compromise. We got better contextual comparison of the technology, but we lost the other part of the data utility in doing so. Okay, this was a compromise. So we traded utility of tech comparison for utility of layman use. Okay, so I concede that both paths may have been correct. It could have gone either way. So we picked one. Now we're moving on with it. But I wanted to fully address that. I didn't have any questions about it. But because I didn't get any questions, I got nervous. And I was like, uh-oh, they didn't read that part. Or they read it and they don't understand the gravity. Because I in the note, I talked about blowback. And no one told me. I was like, okay, you guys read it? You're okay with that? Is it because it's an old silencer and you don't care anymore? Well, that's the wrong attitude. Because I got news for you, and I'm going to be frank really quick, and I know this might upset some people, but I have news for you. If you think PEW Science exists to sell silencers, you're in for a rude awakening. Okay? And I'm pretty sure articles like this are showing you that we're not trying to sell anything. There's more Omega 9Ks in existence and in user hands than all of the silencers that some silencer companies have produced in their entire existence. So the rating, good or bad, of the Omega 9K has no bearing on sales. Okay? Hear me say it, write it down, put it under your pillow. Okay, guys? I know that most of you don't think, but there's still those people on social media who like to, they like to pick fights for no reason. So we're moving on. Okay? Just know, if you have one of these silencers and you have the slotted piston, you might want to try a different piston. Trust. Okay? And until we test it, I won't be able to tell you exactly what happens, but I know what could. Now, when we look at this data, I want to be clear to explain the potential consequences of that piston choice. And we'll do that through all the metrics. So is the muzzle suppression rating going to be much different? Probably not. Probably not. Is the shooter's ear suppression rating going to be different if you use that slotted piston? We don't know. It could be that the shooter's ear rating drops due to gas jetting, but it could also be that it doesn't drop that much. And it could be that you just simply get some ejecta with very low pressure duration to a pulse. And that would be like, instead of, for example, like a Warcomp leak jet, like a Warcomp type leak jet on a 556 SBR with like a Surefire RC2, like it could be like, instead of that type of severe shock with like a duration that's meaningful enough to create damage, it might be more of like a puff, like in the big scope of things. Okay. Much less momentum, much less impulse accumulation, like kind of, not unlike what happened with the RC3. Remember the RC3 was so loud that the Warcomp leak didn't matter as much, remember? So with this, like an analog here would be the ejection port pop with the Omega 9K is kind of loud too. So again, maybe the slot additive impulse would be a wash. Understand? So again, we don't know, but we're giving an educated discussion regarding that potential. Okay, so someday we'll do the research and figure it out. Moving on. For now, let's look at this data. Keep in mind, and I know some people get mad when we get long-winded, but there's a reason I went to great lengths to explain the piston thing, and you're going to see why. Okay, I wouldn't be telling you if it wasn't important. Scroll down in the article past the summary table, okay, all the way until you get to the data plots. Okay, please. You're going to see Figure 1A and Figure 1B. Per typical, you're looking at the free field blast pressure. Okay, I'm using words that make you smarter. Okay, it's going to teach you things. Good. Free field blast pressure. 1 meter left of the end cap at the mill standard test location of 1.6 meters above the ground. It means something. Very important. In Figure 1A, you see a relatively interesting signature. You do. You have some early shocks, and the blowdown doesn't seem to be super long, but it's also not super short. So, you're almost in a Goldilocks zone, and it's gonna take a little bit of a closer look to see this. So just look at Figure 1B right next to it. Okay, the first and second shot, you get a great look at the coupled jets in early time for those first two shots. Again, the first shot being in black, the second shot being in blue. Now, you can see the FRP, the first round pop, start to diverge. Yes, FRP is real. Yes, 10 years ago, the Silencer had FRP. Yes, in 2024, it still has FRP. Nothing has changed. That's real. Silencer works the same way it's always worked. You see these coupled jets. They're very significant. You see the positive, you see the peak positive phase is relatively significant. You see it also go into significant rarefaction, significant negative phase. This is a significant shock load, isn't it? Now, hear what I'm saying. This is not supersonic ammunition. Okay. This is subsonic ammunition out of a short barrel, and you are still getting shock loads out of the end cap of the silencer, and they are coming out first, and they're coming out fast. Why? Remember, folks, yes, in fact, you do get shock loads from subsonic setups. We have spoken about this. I will explain it again. This is muzzle blast. This is a blast load. It's a very important concept for you to understand. Yes, there is a pressure wave from the bullet. Yes, you can read the first section of the Silencer Sound Standard to understand why that happens in the subsonic regime. Yes, it's on the website. There is a pressure wave from the bullet. Absolutely, sure. But Guess what else is coming out in a big way in early time from the Omega 9K? Muzzle blast. An explosion. A shock load. Guys, when people start talking about silencers with supersonic ammo just being impossible to suppress due to the sonic crack of the bullet, you need to tell them, false. The muzzle blast is so much more severe than the sonic crack, it's not even comparable. And then, if they argue with you that a sonic crack from a supersonic projectile can be over 140 dB, tell them, yes, but how much energy is in that shock compared to the muzzle blast shock? Ask them. Then they're going to melt down, and then they're going to cry. And then just wait for them to finish yelling at you, give them a Kleenex, and then send them a link to pewscience.com, and they can learn all about it, okay? Okay. Always remember, we're containing an explosion, okay? Silencers have to contain explosions. They do not contain the sonic crack, okay? Just because there's still a sonic crack on a supersonic rifle or something doesn't mean the silencer's not doing anything. Silencer's doing a lot. And you have direct evidence in this figure 1B in this subsonic pistol article right here. That's not a sonic crack, homie. That's a shock load from muzzle blast explosion. Okay. Why is it there? Well, silencer's small. It got out. Okay. So now you know why the first part of the waveforms from the subsonic test look the way they do in figure 1B. Now you know why. Very important concept. And I know a lot of you understand it, but I know a lot of people don't. So now you do. Okay, very good. So what happens next? Well, friends, you get some throttling, and it's not too shabby, actually. It's fairly consistent, you know. And to check this out, you're in luck. We can look at momentum transfer potential. That's right, impulse in figure 2. That's right, scroll down more. Figure 2. And now you have figure 2A and you have figure 2B. You'll see that the muzzle blast momentum collects in early time. All that muzzle blast momentum is collecting in early time. It's laying right on top of each other. That's pretty good, right? Yeah, incredibly consistent, actually. And what does that show? What does that show in that consistent fashion? Literally, it's showing that the ammunition's the same, the silencer's the same, everything is the same. Okay, that's what it's showing. This is actually a very, very, very good indicator for you that the test is real. If you actually know what you're looking at, that is what it's showing you. This is why folks that do this for a living like this data. We all like this data because you can tell a lot of things from it just because of the way it is, as they say. I love that saying. It sounds funny, but it's true. There are certain things in the data that if you know what you're doing and what you're looking at, they show you that, yes, it makes sense. This is why we seldom argue about it, like on the internet or something, because like we don't need to. Like, if you argue it's not real, it's like, well, we automatically know they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're looking at, so their opinion's invalid. Because it's like, well, if you say it's not real, okay, what are you basing that on? Because if someone that does this for a living looks at this, there's a lot of features in it that show them, it probably is. It probably is real. And it's a very tall accusation saying it's not. It'd be wild. Okay, so yeah, it's self-policing is what I'm trying to say. So that's really great. That's one, that consistent initial jetting in figure 2B, boy howdy, dude. Ooh, that's clean. Really testament to the Omega 9K, I think. Now, the thing that should really, though, now again, it's not all roses. Don't get it twisted. The thing that should actually give you a little bit of a concern here, well, not a concern, maybe. Okay, I'll give you. Let's rephrase that. You might get some pleasant optimism. You see gradual decay of momentum accumulation as the shot stream progresses. And that's good, ladies and gentlemen, that's good. The consistency isn't significantly changing with system heating. And that's really what you want to see. I think it's good. I think this is a high-performing system. with regard to signature suppression. Okay, signature suppression-wise, it's performing well. Just looking at the momentum transfer potential, just looking at the impulse histories from shot to shot, and we see that kind of draw down in the later shots in the string, and really early time being so consistent, blowdown being so consistent. Yeah, after FRP though, of course, but sure. Okay, there's some FRP. It's really a high-performing system. And again, keep in mind, we're looking through the lens of a 10-year-old technology and product. Now, as far as getting back to the fact that it's not all roses, and me telling you that piston thing was brought up for a reason, something you need to understand about suppressing pistols and even shooting semi-automatic handguns, like in general, is that they're very complex. A lot has to behave just right, and timing is everything, okay? There are engineers that design handguns that go to painstaking lengths to ensure reliability, proper kinematics, and make sure everything works as a great buttoned-up system, okay? So what happens when you put a silencer on a pistol? You have upset the balance of the universe, okay? The engineers sitting at his desk that designed that system, they're rocking back and forth in an autistic worry loop, dude. They're chanting under their breath like Lenny in Of Mice and Men. Okay, you have broken his world when you put a silencer on the pistol he designed. Okay, now look. I don't know. Around, give or take, 36 milliseconds is the timestamp in the impulse history in Figure 2A. Look at around 36 milliseconds or so. What do you see? That's a mechanical shock impulse that's being measured 1 meter left of the end cap. Okay. Common for pistol silencers. You are oscillating linearly. Okay, you are linearly oscillating a mass on the end of the barrel as impact happens from spring decompression. Okay, you're hammering it. The piston is enabling this to occur. It is on purpose. You are slamming the silencer back into the barrel. You're doing that now. That's not all that's happening. In addition to the momentum dump from that, you're also getting ejection port blast load coalescence. Okay, now keep in mind, what is this? 1 meter left of the end cap in the free field, 1.6 meters elevation. Okay, so yes. You're going to see that a lot more. You're going to see this a lot more in the member article in the shooter's ear waveforms. Okay, so when you get close to the shooter's head and you measure what's happening, you're going to see a glimpse that you saw in the muzzle signatures in the public article. You're going to see that is indeed just a glimpse. And when you look at the member article at the ear, you're going to be like, oh, the silencer is making this pistol cycle a little bit harder. Okay, a little harder than normal. And why could that be? Guys, it's because of shock loads. The alpha to complete the Omega. We've spoken about this before. The early time blast environment immediately outside the muzzle orifice. Look inside an Omega 9K. Enjoy the large diameter that creates more volume. Very good. Very nice. Now, consider what happens to your muzzle blast as it bounces off the first reflector. Okay. Consider the totality of what's happening when the early stages of the silencer stagnate flow. Okay. Consider all of this additive impulse in the barrel. Consider how fast it accumulates. Then consider what must happen for the pistol to cycle. When you consider all of these factors, you'll find that both ejection port blast and mechanical noise, both measured in this test, are influencing shooter experience. Okay? And this is happening without a slotted piston. There it is. It's happening without the slotted piston. Okay? So what does that mean? Take all the stuff we just spoke about and then add the piston that actually comes with the silencer if you're shooting a half 28 threaded pistol, whatever. Would you get harsh cycling and more blowback than this test shows? Quite possibly. Would the suppression rating drop at the shooter's ear? Like I said earlier in the talk, quite possibly, maybe. Not sure. But what we do know is that ejection port blast and mechanical shock is major. Members will see some positive phase momentum propagation that's a little abnormal. Okay, I'm scrolling down the member review here, and again, I'm sorry, it's only available to members. There's nothing I can do about that. That positive phase momentum propagation happens for a longer duration, and that is perhaps one of the best illustrations of the contribution of those factors preventing the decay you want to see. The Omega 9K is giving the shooter blast momentum as a gift that keeps on giving, okay? It's a wave particle momentum prize pack. That's the Omega 9K. That is the way I would describe that with a technical joke way, like a lighthearted technical description, okay? See, I told you it's not all roses. It's not a bad silencer, dude. It's not a bad silencer by any means, but it's 10 years old, and we have a lot of experience with it, and now you have the best dang pistol with it in the world, so now you know what's going on with people getting blowback from this thing on a pistol, shooting stuff in the back of their face with the slots, making the pistol cycle hard. Okay, we can see what's happening, why it's happening, why all the people have experienced what they've experienced. Talk to a person running an Omega 9K. Have they ever in their lives described it as low back pressure? No way, dude. And the wild part, even with that high alpha, even with no venting, brother, look at this. Look at figure 5 right now. Scroll down, all the way down to figure 5. Bar chart. Look at the comparative bar chart in this article. The silencer is hanging, son. Hanging. This silencer is doing work. It's small. It's durable. Not low back pressure. But it's putting up numbers and it's no slouch, okay? It's able to almost hit 40 at the muzzle while maintaining it at the ear. Oh, snap. That's right, dude. So because of this, when it comes to overall signature, it's one of the most balanced silencers we have tested, like in the pedigree, on this host, right? It's wild, right? You know what comes close? Legacy Tyrant 9M in the short configuration. Oh, that's right, dude. Look at that. Ton of people love that thing. Remember that came out? Everyone's like, because remember, Tyrant 9 came out, right? Everyone's like, what? Then they had like a Tyrant 9S, which was like rare, and people were like, oh, dude, I love it. Then they made the Tyrant 9M, which was basically like, you could make it into a Tyrant 9S, right? Pretty much, kind of, sort of. The short version, and look how good it performs. That's why a lot of people love that configuration of the legacy Tyrant 9M, because look at the numbers, dude. It performed like the Omega 9K, and the Omega 9K was way newer, okay? Or at least newer than the Tyrant 9S when the Tyrant 9S came out, okay? So having a balanced silencer like that with a back pressure that's not necessarily low, it's a pretty good deal, dude. It's a good deal. I mean, again, short configuration of the Tyrant 9M, the legacy one, was awesome. Yeah, you got to be a little careful here. The new Tyrant 9M HD, cool silencer, great silencer. Short configuration is not like the old one. It's going to be a little louder, whatever. But, again, Tyrant 9S, or legacy short configuration of Tyrant 9M. Good example of balance that's very similar to the Omega 9K. Okay, that's really cool. And this chart is really cool that you can see that. What else? What else on this chart is like that so far? Like, what else so far do we see that's like that? The TIP from Inert Haze. That's actually better. Don't sleep on the TIP, guys. Don't sleep on that. Look at that muzzle suppression of 44 with an ear rating of over 42. What? Dude, that's doing some major work. Okay? Do not sleep on that silencer for the size and weight. Okay, I'm telling you, that thing's really light. Yeah, it's longer than the Omega 9K, but it's not huge. Not a huge silencer, okay? It's doing major work. You look at a lot of these other silencers, and they're compromising a little bit in either sound field severity or size or both, okay? So this is it's a really important chart, because as we continue to explore pistol performance, I'm excited to see what other balance systems we uncover, man. I want to see just how high that balance can be achieved. Like, look, really consider this, bro. Look, like, really consider. What if we start to hit RSP levels at the ear with Tyrant 9 levels at the muzzle? Oh my God, dude. That's what dreams are made of. Okay, I'm not optimistic, but a boy can dream. Okay, a pistol silencer junkie boy can dream. I can dream of a day when I get RSP numbers at the ear with Tyrant 9 numbers at the muzzle on a combat handgun. I mean, look at, what is it? Like the Tyrant 9 MHD is like kicking butt in some, I mean, but it's so big, but it's still doing great. That's like, oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing, dude. Some of this. I mean, again, it's a little ungainly, but still. Imagine bumping that up even further. Oh my goodness. It could be great. Okay, now, look. Now, real quick. So, and he goes without saying, but if you've read several of these pistol articles, you need to always remember, and actually this applies to many systems, if you shoot this near your truck or your house or your barn or your porch or in your living room or near a tree line when you're out hunting coyotes with your buddies and drinking a beer, don't use firearms and alcohol, you are going to have a different experience doing all that than if you shot in the middle of a field. I promise, dude. I promise. Never forget that. Blast load reflections are real. They move at this sound speed in the medium. Okay, they do. They do. They are coming to get you. You cannot hide. And this goes for all of this research, guys. I've said it a couple times. I'll say it again. We are presenting mil standard test data and analysis of the data. Mil standard test data, and then we're analyzing that mil standard test data. Okay, some people like to say that true mil standard test data doesn't mean anything. We disagree wholeheartedly. They couldn't be more wrong. It does mean something, and one of the things it means is that it is in the free field and standardized in a very strict fashion with not only locations but tolerances. Their tolerances are met. So don't think you can extrapolate this directly to other environments. Okay, you're not going to be able to go apples to apples into your car or your dining room to dispatch like an unwanted house guest. Like maybe there's a stray raccoon that wandered into your dining room because your kid left the back door open when he was letting the dog out, and a raccoon got in. A raccoon is sitting there in your dining room, making himself at home, having a grand old time, and you're like, I'm going to use my Omega 9K to shoot this raccoon in his face. And you go do that, you pop off a round, and it's a little bit louder than it was, or a lot louder than it was when you shooting it out in the field the other day. Why? Reflection, additive impulse, duration changed. So don't think it's going to be the same. I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, you killed that raccoon as you should have. You stood your ground. You did a good job. Plus, that was a great use case for a silencer, frankly. And you probably didn't hurt your ears like permanently because, you probably had enough room in the suppression rating to one shot. Even when going indoors, you probably had enough slack to you're okay. But I'm just telling you, there's a difference in environment. Yes? Okay, you understand. Now, it is a large effort, but our goal is to show you what would happen. Not necessarily with that exact raccoon, but what we want to show you is how these suppression ratings change in other environments and how certain technologies differ in those environments. Like, do all silencers have on all systems have suppression ratings that drop equally when you go indoors? Maybe not. Okay, so now that research fork is a detour from this part of the Silencer Sound Standard, Section 6. It is a detour from Section 6, but it will be important for you to see because it's going to give you more perspective. Okay, yeah. So for now, I would ask that you always compare things apples to apples. So err on the side of caution, and please be conservative when it comes to your ears. Okay, so if you know you're going into a building if you know you're going to be shooting under an awning at the range, if you know you're shooting in a ground blind when you're deer hunting, you need to know that the suppression rating is going to drop. Okay, so just know that. Please protect yourself, please, and live to shoot and hear another day. Okay, that is my advice to you as one silencer enthusiast and shooter and hunter to another. Okay, please. Okay, so the Omega 9K, I'm telling you, man, it's a classic, dude. All in all, it's a solid little silencer. It's a historic unit for the pedigree. Again, I bragged on this last time. SilencerCo told us when we showed them the article, right? And they told us we were right on track with our characterization of the performance. I think the article is going to help a lot of people. It gives a great peg point. I know it's already helped a lot. We've gotten feedback. It's helped a lot of people. The web traffic was off the chain for it. A ton of people have seen it. So it's pretty good, dude. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to cover with it. Let me really quick scroll down. What did I say in this? Yep, 6 baffles. That's wild. Curve counts. That's right. Stellite blast baffle. I already told you about that part. Has some blowback, but hey, pistol silencers are still primitive. Trust. We haven't even scratched the surface of the technology, in my opinion. Yeah. I know I told you could use this on a supersonic 300 blackout machine gun. That's only because SilencerCo said that on the website. Don't like break your silencer and kill the messenger. If you really, and that goes for everything. If all firing schedules, if you want to do something, or you want to do hood rat stuff with your friends with your silencer, I always encourage to have fun. But please, the very important part is to contact the manufacturer for firing schedule recommendations. Just because someone on the internet did it doesn't mean it's right. So please just call them and be like, hey, you don't know me, but I bought your silencer and I have this barrel length. I want to use this ammunition and I'm going to be shooting like 3 magazines full auto. Is that okay? And that they might be like, maybe just shoot 2, or hey, knock yourself out, or do whatever you want, wear safety glasses, and if you blow it up, call us and we'll fix it. And that might be cool too. Okay. You never know what they're going to say. Please call them and at least you get something from the horse's mouth. Okay. Now, I know we talked about a few technical things in this topic. I said a lot of words. Some of them you might not know what they mean. And there's actually a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't know. In that context, I want to move into the next topic. And I want to very briefly update you on the progress of our attempt to help rectify the knowledge gaps that might be occurring because of that. Okay. There's been enough people asking questions and hey, I understand. Sometimes you don't want to Google stuff. Sometimes you don't want to Google stuff to learn. I get it, dude. Sometimes you don't want to go to your local library and check out a book. I mean, you probably don't do that anyway. Sometimes you don't want to go to Amazon Prime and get a Kindle book, whatever you guys do. Sometimes you want it to be in context in the method of delivery of information that you're used to, like this podcast. I get it. I've heard the requests. So topic 2 at a time of 58 minutes and 6 seconds. Okay, real quick. So PEW Science 101 topic prep. We did a topic like this last episode. I just want to update you and thank you for the feedback. Okay, so far, the preparation for this crash course that I'm going to create for you is there's a lot of information that I'm getting you, which is really great. It's really helpful because I obviously this is for you, so I don't want to do something you don't want. Could I be dumb? So looking through what we've received, through the several emails we've received so far, all of them have been very thoughtful, and I love that. So I just want you to know, if you have sent an email, it's likely that I've responded already. I have definitely already read it, and I will respond. And my feedback for you is that your suggestions are great. One of the suggestions, and I'm going to bring something up specific here. One of the suggestions is something folks have asked for in general over the years, and it is a visual element to help explain things. And so what they did was they asked for a whiteboard drawing session during the podcast. And I'm open to that. I would love to do that. I did brainstorm it quickly before I started recording this today. I think there's a few ways. I wanted to give you some thoughts to think about. If you have yet to send feedback or you want to send more feedback, let me kind of give you my perspective on this, of what I was thinking. So we could do, I think there's a few ways to accomplish this and address that desire. I'm not saying we're going to do a visual element, but I'm saying there's a few ways we could. We could do a screen record, and I could doodle on the screen with a mouse and keyboard in like Microsoft Paint or like PowerPoint or something. It would be super low tech, but it'd be definitely easy to see, easy for me to produce. Do it with a normal voiceover. It could work. Okay, that's one option. Another one, I could set up a camera in front of a whiteboard, and I could just do it lecture style. Like, definitely an option. More effort, trust me. More effort, but I could do that. I could point a camera at the desk in front of me and draw, like a reading rainbow scenario. That's an option. Another thing I thought of, we could split the difference, and I could get like one of those like electronic pad and pencils, so I could like draw on a screen with something other than a mouse, which would be better, like for me ergonomically, I think. Like, and it'd be easier for me for my penmanship, so you'd be able to understand what I was drawing and writing. And then maybe also like I could find a screen sharing thing, or like a recording application that lets me doodle on the screen of what's on the screen and dynamically and still scroll or something. I don't know. We can figure that out. I'm willing to bet things like that exist. I haven't looked into it, but this probably exists, right? So that's what I was thinking. So those are some options I thought of for adding a visual element to a 101 episode. And some of those thoughts could carry over to some other episodes, maybe too. But again, everything costs time, which costs money. So we want to be as efficient as we can. I'd rather do things easier and work smarter, not harder. Okay, so just giving you my perspective and opinion. If you have an opinion, I love feedback. There's no bad feedback. Please email. Okay, please. So please keep the emails coming. After we organize all the feedback and desires, it's likely that there's going to be a multi-episode series on this. And it'll be something like 101, 102, things like that. There's enough feedback that's probably going to happen. There's so much, there's such a huge desire for knowledge that we might need to do more than a 101, and I have to organize it. And some of that might bleed over into listener questions. I'm not sure how we're going to run that. Okay, but I'm just letting you know that we're trying to organize the flood. Now, tech@pewscience.com. That's TECH@pewscience.com. Tell us what you want to see in a basic instructional episode or episode series. When people start off from zero, what do they need to know? What would help them? Okay, most of all, what would help you further understand what we talked about here today and help you learn better? Okay, help me help you. That's what I'm asking. Okay, so thanks, guys. If you're a new member who recently joined the effort and support this madness that we've been running since 2020 publicly, 4 years of this lunacy. If you're a new member that is supporting this crazy journey that we're on, you probably got a welcome email from me recently. That's right, that was from me. And if you haven't, it's just because I haven't gotten to you yet. Okay, so I will shortly. Thank you for your support. Please stay safe out there, friends. I will talk with you again soon. All right, bye.